In this video, I'm going to be talking about access control lists in Cisco iOS, otherwise known as ACLs. So with ACLs, there's standard ACLs and extended ACLs. I'll probably just demonstrate standard, but also talk about extended. But an ACL is basically, it's kind of like a filter or like a rule that you can apply to, allow or block certain traffic. Like a good example would be is, if you're at work and your employer is blocking certain websites, for to stop you from going on. That's one example, or like a school blocking certain websites, or you don't want unauthorized access to a certain location, and whatnot. Um, so basically, um, there's standard and extended ACLs. Extended, you can specify a bit more things like protocol type, source and destination IP, destination ports, and a lot more. But I'll just be going over standards. So just as an example here, um, we have this computer, which is 192.168.0.1, and this one over here, that's 0.3. I have a OSP configured here so they can ping. So now we're just gonna hop on the PC here, show you the IP here. This is 0.1. And basically, we're just gonna try to ping the other PC on the other side of the network. Just to kind of show you that it's working. It's supposed to be pinging right now. So here on R2, we're gonna start configuring the access lists. And like I said, there's a standard and extended. Extended is a bit more fine-tuned. You can specify a lot more. But we'll just go with standard for now. So when you start the command off, you just type access list and then a number. So if I do a question mark here, so you can see there's a range where it's standard or extended. So we're just going to do standard, and obviously we don't have any access lists already. This is a really simple configuration. So just putting access list 1 is fine. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then next, we can deny, permit. So we'll permit, and then we'll just select the host IP, and we'll put in the computer that, or we'll put in the other computer, sorry. So 0.3. So when we put this in, it's going to read this line, like the access list will be read, and whatever doesn't match will be denied. So all traffic that doesn't meet this will be denied. So only this IP here is going to be permitted from that computer. So we apply that, and then the next thing you want to do is apply it to an interface. So we'll apply it on router 2 here, just as an example. Usually, like, it depends on extended and standard, because standard doesn't have that nice like filtering you can do. So you want to try to put it at the beginning, as close as to like the start of the traffic as possible. But obviously, for example purposes, we'll just put it here. So you want to select the interface. So here we'll select G0/1, and then we just want to select, is it going in, is it going out? So you also want to keep this in mind, and we're selecting the access list 1 here. You can also name your access lists, as you can see here, but obviously ours is just 1. So you want to do IP access group 1, and then if it's inbound or outbound packets, so we'll just do out. And then once we press enter, it's applied, it's active on the interface. We can do show access lists, and we can see there we have one access list, a standard access list that is permitting that host address. So now let's go back to the computer that we were trying to ping from, and it was working. So now if we try to go for a ping, destination host is unreachable. And we're getting the reply from 192.168.2.2 because that IP is on the router where we placed the access list. So now let's go to the other PC and see if we can ping from there because we allowed that address. So now if we ping, we can see it works, and you can see this time it's PC2. If I do an IP config, it's a different host. It's the one we allowed. If we go back and look at router 2, it's the one we allowed. So we can see here, all the traffic is blocked except for this IP address. And even if we go on router 1 here and try to ping, we get a success rate of 0% because it's only allowing traffic from that computer where we set the access list. So now I'm gonna kind of change the access list a little bit. Instead of just having a host IP have some sort of range. So I'm gonna do access list to permit, and then we have the subnet and then the wildcard mask. So we're kind of making like a range here. So when I press enter, it's gonna allow or permit, 192.168.0.0 all the way to 0.4, and everything else will be denied. So I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna apply it to the interface like last time, the same exact way. Oh, sorry. We gotta put here IP access group 2. So 2. So now these two computers should be allowed, but not the router. So let's just see. So if I go here on the router, ping this address, success rate is 0%. But now let's check the two computers because we allowed all the way from 0.0 to 0.4, and one computer is 0.1 and one is 0.3. Okay, we can see here the ping's not working. So let's find out why that is. Let's see if the other PC works. So as you see here, I accidentally put access group 1. I applied access group 1 when I was supposed to apply access group 2. So I just did no access group 1. So now it should just be access group 2 that's applied because there's nothing configured for 1, so that was interfering. So now let's go back and see if the PC's ping. So now let's try pinging. We can see that it works. So the router wasn't working, the PC was working. So now this one should work as well, which it does. So we can see because we allowed the two PCs there and with the wildcard mask, but not the router's subnet, only these two PCs can ping, but not the router. So these were kind of just two examples of access lists. Obviously there's also extended, but I'm kind of just going over the standard here. But yeah, it's a good way to kind of filter out traffic, and I would say it's one of the more important things to get to know, especially in like a work style environment. And it's good to document the access list as well. That's a big deal. Make sure they're well documented so you know exactly what they're for. And probably always use it in a test environment first before deploying it. And yeah, so this video is done, and yeah, it's just about access lists in general and kind of like an overview of how to do it.